financing gap, and then I'm going to give you a few hints on how to get ready for money. What does money like to see before it will come into your business? A good idea is never enough. There are certain things that the bankers, the investors are looking for, and hopefully I can share with you a few tricks on how to get them. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So why are SMEs really important in Nigeria? It's here in these numbers. 96% of businesses in Nigeria are SMEs. 84% of people with a job today are employed by SMEs. That means all those big companies, government, they only account for 16% of jobs. 84% of jobs are from SMEs. Most people that earn a salary are getting it from an SME. So you can clearly see that if governments, state governors, anybody wants to grow jobs in Nigeria, you have to focus on the SMEs. And then in terms of statistics, 48% of our economy is SME. So it's to me, it's like no-brainer or low-hanging fruit that if you do SME better in Nigeria, you'll have a better economy. You'll have more jobs. You'll have more wealth. I don't think anybody can contradict that. So let's move on to the second slide and the next slide, and let me speak a little bit around the structure of SME. So the side hustlers, most Nigerians are really entrepreneurial. They're always doing one thing or another. The side hustle is a big part of our economy, and I think it's something that banks, FirstBank, take note, are what we need to focus on. The reality of the side hustle. Where is the account that's designed for the side hustler? The person that is running their job, running their salary, but equally has a side hustle. How can we make these people grow? Because many of our big entrepreneurs started as side hustlers. So Nidacity, which is the platform I run, which is a teaching platform for SMEs. I run a podcast. Today's guest, she runs a business that turns over in the billions. She started from the boot of her car. For 3 years, she ran that business alongside her job. So how do we pick out these people as financiers? How do we spot them and design products that work for them? That's low-hanging fruit for any bank. Understand the side hustlers, understand what they need, understand their constraints, and design products around them. Then there's existing SMEs. Those are people that are out there in business. They've taken the plunge, they're struggling along, they're running their businesses. That's what today is largely about. And hopefully I'll speak to one or two things for them. And then, of course, there's the future SMEs. This is really important. These are the young people who need to begin to start learning business before they jump out. I'm a great believer in before you jump into something, do your research. So these future SME owners are a very, very important ecosystem. And we need to address them. We need to understand their needs. They need to come onto platforms like this. They need to be part of WhatsApp groups that are discussing business. What's the problem? What's going on? Learning and understanding before they jump out into business. Because if they jump into business well equipped, they are likely to succeed. And if they succeed, as you could see from the previous slide, they're going to employ people. And when they employ people, more people move out of poverty. It's as simple as that. So what can you do as an entrepreneur at the moment that will help you attract money? Now, I want to say something about money, and it's important. A lot of entrepreneurs focus excessively on how to get money. There are many, many businesses that I see every day that started with no money. We in Nidacity do this whole series. We call it Low and No. Low capital or no capital. We did a feature on women that started business with less than 1,000 naira. And today they are running business in the billions. So don't start business thinking about money. Start business thinking about an idea and a business model. What is your idea? What is the business model sitting behind your idea? And then you'll be able to figure out the money you need. And indeed, do you need money? That's another thing. Do you need money or do you need contacts? Do you need money or do you just need some technical help? So money can become something of an obsession. And in enterprise, we call it the curse of capital. I'll share an experience that I had when I was in investment banking, we had a client who had borrowed money from us, and the credit went bad. So we went to go and visit the man. He was a poultry farmer. When we got to his poultry, all the houses where the chickens were kept were painted different colors. So he had yellow house, blue house, green house, and he had run out of money for food. So that's, for me, an example of the curse of capital, where priorities were wrong. You had so much money when you were setting up, you painted the chicken coops, but you didn't have enough money for food. So sometimes actually having too much money can be a problem. You are a little bit less disciplined about how you spend. You maybe spend money on things that you don't need. So I would always say, start with the idea, start with the business model. For example, I make shoes. I buy leather, I make shoes, I sell them on Instagram. That's a business model. You must understand your own business model. It is only when you've understood your business model, you then ask your question, okay, how much money do I need? How much money do I need to run this business? If I buy the leather at 10 and my shoes sell at 15, I'm making a profit of 5. Okay, if I recycle that, I can grow this business. Investors, banks, don't fund ideas. They fund businesses. So you need to take your idea to business. You need to be able to show your bankers a proof of concept, a proof that your idea works. Because the truth is, I have 100 ideas an hour, and I'm sure most of us do. Not every idea is a business. Not every idea is a good idea. So the best way to attract money is test your idea with your own money, with whatever resources you have. If your idea is beyond your resources, then maybe it's not the right idea for you. I don't know if I'm making sense. So if your idea is that you want to create a mobile phone that will be completely Nigerian and is called a Niger handset, and you're not an engineer and you don't have any money, that's just an idea. That's not a business. So let's be very clear. Idea is different from business. Business has revenue. Business understands its cost, and business has the potential for a profit. So once you've identified that, then you've got a business. Then prove your concept. Get some sales. Don't ask people, would you buy? If they're not buying, you don't have a business. If they're buying, you have a business. Then you want to understand, why are they buying? What do they like? What do they not like? What do they want more of? What do they want less of? You are then fine-tuning your business into where it needs to be. Now, for existing businesses, because I'm sure many of you are existing businesses, and you'll say, well, you're just talking to people who haven't started. What about us that have started? I'll tell you one thing about business. You're always starting. Every day you're effectively starting. Every day you can change something, shape something, treat it as if you're starting all over. So you're selling dresses and they're not moving. Okay, what are you going to do? Maybe I need to sell off what I have, get the money and start selling shirts. That's a new business. So entrepreneurs are constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly testing new ideas. That's why Apple will bring out earphones today. They'll bring out a phone tomorrow. They'll bring out a charging deck the next day. They're constantly evolving. So enterprise is never static, because customers are not static. Things change, trends change. So don't feel if you've already started a business and you're in a particular direction that you're somehow stuck. As an entrepreneur, you're never stuck. Customers will constantly give you feedback and tell you where to go. And if you notice, that's why some businesses just suddenly blow up. We did another article. I'm speaking about some of our articles. If those of you that go to weddings know that 10 years ago, you go to a wedding, it's a plate of jollof rice. Then what happened? The price of rice went skyrocketed. What did the caterers do? They started giving us amala. Amala that most of us hated as children is now our favorite party food. What have they done? They've replaced rice that they couldn't afford with amala that is much, much cheaper and still serve their business. That's evolving. That's called evolution. That's constant reinvention. So business owners must be constantly reinventing. If you're already in business, that's great. Reinvent. Keep reinventing. Keep testing new ideas. Don't get static. And when the economy is tough like this, don't get tired. Tiredness kills. Tiredness will make you feel good. You'll feel sorry for yourself, but honestly, it's really not helping you. So keep evolving, keep thinking, keep reinventing. What are the keys? Maintaining up-to-date books. They don't necessarily have to be audited, but they need to be maintained. You need to know whether you're making money or not. Do I have a gross profit? How much is my gross profit? What is gross profit? The gross profit is the difference between your revenue and the direct cost. So let's assume you're selling a dress. You buy it for 10, you sell for 15. Your gross profit is 5. Then from that gross profit, you now have to pay yourself. You have to pay your rent. You have to pay your staff. So the first thing you need to understand is, how healthy is my profit? Am I even making enough money? Because if there's not enough in the business, it may be worth thinking about something else. A lot of people go into businesses without understanding the margins of the business. So for example, cement, water, pure water, beverages, the margin is very low. So you have to sell a huge volume. Whereas some other businesses like fashion, like food, the margin is very healthy. You can make profit selling few. So understand the business you're in, understand the margins in your business. Once you can do that, decisions become a lot easier. A lot easier. The problem with a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, is they associate business accounting with math. And a lot of us hated math at school. So the first time we see our numbers, we just freak out. Oh, leave it. No, you have to face your numbers once a month. If you're making a profit, great. How can you improve it? If you're making a loss, how can you correct it? And sometimes the answer just jumps out at you. You realize, my price is too low, or my cost is too high, or I'm running an office. I don't need an office. No one comes to my office. Let me start working from home. But if you don't know your numbers, it's very difficult to fine-tune your business. So I would say, please know your numbers. Then you can prepare a projection. Where am I going to be next year? Last year, my sales were 50,000 naira a month. I want to grow it to 100. You can project, you can plan, because you have a starting point. And then one that's very common, please separate your business and your personal bank account. This is the way that many small businesses die, because they don't pay themselves. A lot of entrepreneurs do not pay themselves a salary. So whenever they need money, they have to dip into the business. It's the fastest way to kill a business. Pay yourself a salary. Even if the business cannot afford to pay you, mark it down that the business owes you, so that when money comes in, you take it out. But take money out of your business in an orderly manner. Not, school fees has arrived. You scoop everything out of the business and pay the school fees. Eventually, that kind of indiscipline will destabilize your business. So you must pay yourself a salary, and you don't take more than that salary. Now, at the end of the year, when you do your accounts and you say, I've made profit, you can give yourself a bonus. But that regular monthly, please be very disciplined about it. Don't just do things on a whim. You had a great month, you dip in, you buy yourself something. No. You want to buy a car, you scoop all the money out of the business. That's how to kill a business. So you need, and it's difficult because the business is yours and the business is you. So you think, am I not the owner of the business? No, please form that discipline. If there's only one thing you remember today, pay yourself. Pay yourself every month. Pay yourself every month. Especially if you're working in the business. Pay yourself. In fact, you should pay yourself first, because without you, there's no business. Pay yourself before you pay your staff, especially if you're working in the business. Filing tax returns, I'm not going to speak about that because there's a lot of government information about filing your tax returns. And right now with the new tax laws, if you're not filing, they're coming after you anyway. So it's in your interest to file. Typically, it is better to go to the tax man and pay on your own than wait for them to come to you. Because when they come to you, they come aggressively and they typically can penalize you. And the penalties can be huge and they disrupt your business. So just forming that habit that, okay, I know I'm going to have to pay, go and do your own self-declaration. It is better, it is safer, it is cheaper in the long run, it is less disruptive. And then manage your cash flow. Make sure that you focus on cash. Cash is king. If you're selling on credit, who are you selling to? How long are you giving them to pay? If you're selling on credit, I recommend, if you're selling, say, jewelry or whatever on credit, tell them they can put a deposit. Tell them it's a layaway. You keep the goods until they've paid. Because trust me, when your goods are in somebody's hands, the power is in their hands. They will pay you when they're ready. So to the large extent possible, reduce your credit exposure, reduce those people that are owing you. Get your money, if you can, up front. If you can't, hold on to the goods. Tell them, don't worry, I won't sell it to anybody else. Put a deposit on it and be paying me until they're able to pay it off. Because credit sales can kill businesses very, very fast. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you a little bit, like I said, about Nidacity. This is what I do now. I'm trying to make sure that more businesses succeed. Nidacity is Nigerian audacity. We think the Nigerians just have one kind of audacity. We're ready to try and do anything. We've got really, really good entrepreneurial instinct. But what we're trying to do now is to give ourselves better tools, because business is just like football. People practice. You know, when the footballers get on the World Cup and they're kicking the ball around, it looks as if they're playing a game. No, they have practice. They've been in training. Sometimes when the ball goes to the left, the person on the right knows what he's meant to do. It looks like they're just playing a game, but they're actually not. There's actually a lot of science, a lot of training that goes into, by the way, I'm a World Cup person. I like football. I'm a Man U supporter, so I will use football analogies. So if you see them playing it, they look brilliant, but you forget how much goes on behind. So Nidacity, what we're trying to do, and that's part of what FirstBank are doing, and that's why I accepted this invitation, because I think it's so important. Equip yourself. Equip yourself as a business owner. 10 minutes a day is not too much. Learn something, learn a new skill, read an article, watch a podcast, equip yourself, because business out there is tough. It's really, really tough, but you need information. You need to equip yourself and know what business you're even in. I told this story on the Covenant platform, and let me say it again because it went viral. So one of my customers when I was in banking was an elderly woman. She wasn't really well, she looked elderly to me then. Everybody kind of looked elderly then. But anyway, she used to sell wine in Ilkiari. And I used to go and see her. I was running her investments, so she used to give me money to invest for her. And I used to see her. She would always have money, giving me, chunks of money to invest. I started thinking, because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a side hustler, I started thinking, maybe I'll go into wine business, or this business is really good. So I started asking her. I said, "Oh, Alaja, this wine, how does it work? Where do you get the wine from?" And she was just answering me questions. And I started in my head planning, right, I'm going into wine. And then one day she called me and she said, those old women, the way they look at you, she gave me this kind of eyes, those mama eyes, like this one doesn't even know anything. So she said to me I should follow her. And she ended up taking me to a place beyond Ijebu-Ode. And when we got there were fish ponds, like maybe 400 fish ponds. She was actually doing catfish farming. And the wine business was just a cover. And she told me, she said that 3 of her friends are selling wine. And she's looking at them, they're losing money. So what am I saying? I'm saying research your business. Know what's really going on. Because what you see, especially in Nigeria, the more you look sometimes, the less you see. So some of you're competing. You don't realize that the person you're competing with who has a big shop, her husband is paying the shop rent. There's a lot of what in Yoruba we call Jackie Lacey, let the house rest. So her husband will just say, okay, I'll pay the rent. You go there and be selling things. And you start competing with that kind of person. That kind of person will destroy your business. So you must know what you need information in business. Skill, idea is not enough. You need information. Information is power. What business am I in? Who are my competitors? How are they doing it? If they're able to sell at a particular price, and you know the costs, and it's not making sense, then look, there may be a hidden subsidy somewhere. I'm not saying we should go around and say, hey, don't mind that one. That one is laundering money. That one is doing this. But I'm saying, understand who you're competing with. Understand the game you're in. Don't just jump into a business because so many people are into it and they look like they're doing well. If that woman hadn't been kind to me, maybe by now wine would have been one of my failed side hustles because I was really like determined, like, there's not many people selling wine where I live. I can start selling wine, this wine. I didn't realize that actually she's a catfish farmer. So please, know who you're competing with, have information. We come up every week. I'm doing a podcast and I'm going all over Nigeria. I'm interviewing entrepreneurs. I'm getting them to tell their stories. I'm getting our successful Nigerian entrepreneurs to talk to me. I'm using the fact that I'm former minister. I'm bullying people to say, oh yeah, come and tell us how you got there. Tell us how you've succeeded. Tell us what you've learned, because like I say, business is just like everything else. You need to learn it. You need to understand it's a science. It's not enough to just say, oh, my mom was a businessman, I know business. Oh, my mom was a businesswoman, I know business. No, you have to add skill to your natural capacity. So I'm going to stop there. Because I think there's a question and answer session later on. And I hope that I have given you a few things to think about.